Throughout the history of human workforce, we have seen the human workforce has been evolved over the phases, right? We saw the steam engines driving mechanical energy using pulleys and belts, to the point when we see the invention of electricity has completely revolutionized the industrial economy across the world, to the point when we saw the invention of computers and internet has completely changed the way people work in a global economy digitally. Then we saw the global pandemic struck upon us. Those 2 years were so stressful. Now we're seeing in a post-pandemic world, a new way of working is emerging, which is called hybrid work. Now, hybrid work is not remote work. People always get confused about that. In this video, I'm going to break it down to you exactly what is hybrid work and why do we need it at first place. And there are several myths about hybrid work that I want to debunk in this video for you. So without further ado, let's dive in. So hybrid work is actually the transformation of location-centric workplace to more human-centric workplace where people are not bound to a location per se, right? So they can work from anywhere, whether they are at home or in the office environment or anywhere between them. And the way they work should not be any different regardless, which location they're working from. So that's really the concept of hybrid work. And it is characterized by flexibility, empathy, and empowerment of human workforce so that they can achieve their maximum potential in a business environment to achieve positive outcome for the company. So why do we need it at first place? Well, when we saw the pandemic struck upon us, before that we used to go to the office. Pretty much everybody, with an exception of very high-tech companies where they allow people to work remotely, but most of the people before pandemic used to go to a physical location where they call it office and they work from there, right? And then when the pandemic struck upon us, everybody was sent home. Whether you have proper tools available or not, you were forced to go home to somehow come up with some sort of a solution with your IT to work to a certain degree, right? And then in those 2 years, we realized that there are so many tools available that we can use to improve our productivity and efficiency of work while we are not in the office. But then now we're seeing the companies are asking people to come to the office, few days or maybe 100% of the days during the week. But according to different surveys, you can search, you can Google it, different polls conducted by Gartner, Cisco, and other companies. And according to those polls, less than 9% of the people are willing to go back to work 100% of the time. The rest of the people, which is vast majority, they would like to have flexibility in their working environment. So that means they can work in flexible hours, they can work from home sometime, they can go to the office some days, and they work from cafes sometimes, or in the train, or in a rental cottage place. So they want this flexibility to have some sort of an environment where they can work to their maximum potential. So in a layman's term, hybrid work means the transformation of workplace to a more human-centric workspace. Now pay attention to these two words, workplace and workspace, two different concepts. Workplace is a physical location where you go to the office, you socialize with your colleagues, and try to understand the company culture, but you don't have to be there 100% of the time. Workspace is something that we call your new way of working. This is a digital alternative of your working environment where you actually work in that. Think about WebEx application where you have all your documents stored in that application, your text messages, your group chats, your voice and video calls, your meetings recording, your whiteboard sessions, your integration with third-party applications like Miro and Salesforce. All of that reside inside one application. So that's what we call hybrid workspace. So there's a difference between hybrid workplace and hybrid workspace. So understand that one is location centric, the other one is not. And the combination of these two create a hybrid work environment for the employees to maximize their productivity and efficiency by having flexibility to move around between the two environments as per their intention. So there shouldn't be any by default rule for employees to work from workplace or workspace. It has to be intentional, okay? Because then you will only use these tools as you need it. You don't have to be forced to use whether workspace or workplace, and that requires change in culture, leadership style, empathy, and overall flexibility in your work environment. There are 7 myths about hybrid work that I want to debunk in this video for you. Myth number 1, pretty soon we will all go back to our office as normal as we used to go before pandemic. Well, not really. As per survey conducted by an independent organization which is sponsored by Cisco, only 9% of the people think they will be back to the office 100% of the time. The rest, they want flexibility. They don't want to stuck in a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, stuck in an office kind of routine, right? So if the companies wants to retain and acquire top talent going forward, they have to acknowledge that this new way of working is going to stay here. The employees, the workforce require that kind of flexibility in order to progress and improve their proficiency and efficiency and productivity to reach their productive goals. Myth number 2, employees are more productive when at office. Well, not really, because productivity thrives when you are given radical flexibility. So here, radical flexibility means that you are getting rid of the micromanagement, right? So the management and the leadership should not do micromanaging, but to give them more independence, more empowerment, and only focus on the outcomes rather than tracking activity metrics. Myth number 3, serendipity is the best driver for innovation. There is no ideal way of working to drive innovation. It requires the acknowledging the need of different working model and their different roles in your organization and how to make them available to your employees. Now, according to Gartner, there are 4 different models of working available in hybrid model. They are categorized in 2 different sections, just based upon where and how. So where means location centric, where it could be co-located or it could be distributed. How means how are we going to spend our time, which could be synchronous or asynchronous. You could be in an office environment to attend meetings with a wider team, but you could also be joining meetings from a remote location, right? That is quite possible in this environment. Similarly, synchronous and asynchronous communication means there is a moment where you have to log into a meeting application to be part of a brainstorming discussion, but there could be a moment where you only need a quiet time to gain your mental energy back and think about other ideas that can only happen in a quiet moment just by yourself. Plus, asynchronous communication means if you only want to communicate an idea to a wider team, you don't have to book a calendar meeting and invite everybody to log into the meeting just to convey a one-way message. You can do a asynchronous message, like a video message that you can record, trim it, and then publish it on a portal to send the link to everybody so they can watch it at their own convenient time. That will save a lot of unproductive time spent in useless meetings where you're only listening a one-way communication. Myth number 4, our jobs cannot be done remotely. Well, the hybrid work concept is independent of the job type. Of course, there are type of job which cannot be portable, versus there are some types of job where it can be semi-portable. For example, if you're working on an assembly line, of course you have to be at the assembly physically to be able to work. So your work is not portable. But if you are a surgeon, for example, half of your work can be portable. For example, if you are doing a surgery, you have to be with the patient physically, but at times when you can be remote and doing some paperwork or doing some research, there is some flexibility available based upon the job role. So hybrid work model is basically beyond the job role. It's a concept that has to be applied from the top to the bottom. Myth number 5, hybrid work or remote work doesn't provide company culture. Well, there is a caveat in there, because when you are part of existing organization, then of course sustaining culture is easier. But when you hire a new employee and that employee is working remotely, then it's very difficult to provide that company culture. So in this case, you have to have a hybrid environment where you will have a hybrid workplace where you can go and socialize with your employees and your colleagues and absorb the company culture. And you will have a hybrid workplace where you can work digitally or remotely, synchronous, asynchronous, co-located, or distributed. That is not limited to physical location only, but of course, you have to have a hybrid environment where at the same time you're leveraging the qualities of hybrid work model, but you're also providing a way for new employees to kind of understand the company culture and grow in that environment. Myth number 7, that hybrid work is not good for DEI. What is DEI? Diversity, equality, inclusivity. Well, I don't agree with that, because think about it, there's so many things the technology do to remove the barriers. For example, features like a real-time translation or closed captioning that removes the barrier for people who cannot communicate because of disability, or they don't understand the language of the group of people who are discussing in a meeting. And it allows you to come out of your comfort zone if you are an introvert, to be vocal in a meeting where the technology is providing you a platform and a way to be vocal, right? So technology removes the barrier. I don't think this is going to be a blocker for DEI. So what's next? Well, I have broken down to you the hybrid work and its different working model and debunk all these myths about hybrid work. So if you have any questions, feel free to put your comments down below. Ask me any questions and contact me, because we at Cisco have a solution, an end-to-end solution that provides you a complete hybrid work environment. Think about the productivity applications like Cisco WebEx that is going to be delivered over a secured SD-WAN network all the way to your environment, whether you are at home or in the office or anywhere between. It does not matter, because your communication will be secured. Doesn't matter wherever you are, because we believe work is what you do, not where you do. That's it from my side. I hope this is helpful. If you like it, give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I'll see you in my next week video. Take care.